and welcome to the fourth episode of Life's a Stage with me, Frida Liu on Jenn TV. Thank you for joining me. Today's topic is about ambitions. Do you remember being asked a question, what do you want to be when you grow up? You know, I felt a lot of pressure when that question came up because I had many ambitions and I'm not doing anything I said I will be doing. So how do we make sense of our childhood dreams and what are we doing now? What should we be asking the kids today instead? Joining me today are two dear friends. One disappeared from the face of the earth. I knew him when he was working at Magic, Ihon Chan. Ihon is now many things, a scuba diving instructor, a cyber farmer, whatever that is, and also a partner at Retrospective Discovery. Next, we have the very beautiful and talented Sarah Lian, who I'm sure you all know. She's a model, MC, actor, and a managing director for Super Good, which is a talent management company that also does super retreats. Yeah. We'll talk about that. So if you have any questions, do put them in the comment section. We'll try to address them. And you know, thank you guys for doing this. You know, we already had a lot of fun prior to coming on air. So I want to talk to Ihon first because I haven't seen him for 2 years, right? So what are you up to now?
A lot of things and nothing as well at the same time. So I've been I've been doing a lot of diving as a personal passion, something I'm very interested in, exploring the ocean and doing some consulting here and there for several businesses. And and farming. I've been farming, planting vegetables and all that since MCO was lifted last year. So around June last year, I started farming at this local community farm in Cyberjaya where I live. Yeah.
So that's why you're a cyber farmer.
Yeah, because it's
Cyberjaya. Yeah. Okay.
It's not like some sort of like internet of things.
Right. No.
I was like, don't they call that mining now?
it watches itself. It harvests itself.
Yeah, I know,
set the timer.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so you're just
literally,
in
it was a literal
Cyberjaya.
meaning.
Yeah, so I've been farming, diving, and consulting.
All right, and I think Sarah, I didn't get to see you the whole of last year as well, right? But I know I followed you. I know what you're up to. But tell me though, what are you up to now?
Yeah, like you mentioned, we were doing Super Retreat. We had done in-person events and Super Retreats, like a community where we help women succeed in life in all facets of who they are. Then when MCO hit, we pivoted and we went online. Yeah. So I had about 75 workshops online. Wow. I went to every single one of them. So it was definitely like therapy for me, like just, you know, learning so much. Breath work, meditation, journaling, relationships, mindset, goals,
You're
abundance.
a superwoman by now.
Yeah. I feel like I'm armed with so much information. It's just like
and
coming
strategy.
out. Yeah, the energy is just like positive and understanding yourself, your ego, giving, you know, just wanting to give so much and not getting a lot. And so, yeah, I just like learned a ton.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, you've got your talent management company,
Yes.
you've got this, and of course you do other things as well, acting and all that. So, and we'll get to the story of how all of this happened, right? I want to know, Ihon, right? High flying job, right? And that's how I met you at Magic, right? No director.
I don't know about the high flying part, but
and then you quit.
What happened?
And okay, and then you quit, right? And then after that, no, the thing is you quit, and then it's like, okay, so which corporation is he joining now? And then what? Scuba diving instructor. Okay, first I'm going to ask you, what did your parents have to say first?
I'm really lucky that I've always been someone who do something for 3 years. Then I'll by chance usually discover something new that I was like, oh my god, I'm so curious about this. I really want to learn more. I really want to get into it. I want to spend more time on it and stuff. And so they're kind of used to it by now. So when I told her, I'm gonna quit, I want to really deep dive into, pun intended, deep dive into the world of scuba diving. Okay. And they were like, you know what? As long as you have your own plan, you're gonna look after yourself and all that kind of stuff, go for it. So I was like, okay. So I've been lucky in that sense. But having said that, though, when we were growing up as well, personally as well as my parents, we went through a series of sudden deaths amongst loved ones. Right. And it's related to this topic. So that created a discourse amongst me and my mom especially around the idea of, what do you want to be when you grow up? Right. Don't worry too much about the label itself. Right. Think more about what are the things that you want to learn more about, contribute in, or be passionate about. So the label itself is not as important.
Right. And that, I think for me also was that thing, right? When I look at, I like I said, I talk about my book, I don't want to say that life is short, right? Because, and you know of people who have passed on, like, hey, what happened, right? And it's like, I don't want to look at it that way. I don't want it to be a self-fulfilling prophecy, but I want it to be, is each day meaningful?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Each day meaningful. Am I doing something that's meaningful every day? Yeah, I have visions and dreams and all that, and that's important. But at the same time, again, no labels, right? Okay, so we're talking about ambitions, right? And I want to ask this as well. Okay, so take me down memory lane, right? You guys, that moment when you decided, I want to be something, or that moment when someone's, I want to be this. How old were you then? What was going through your mind? Was on you, Sarah, because you're not doing whatever you said you're gonna do.
Yeah, so I was in grade 5.
Right.
And I wanted to be a teacher.
Mm.
And so I would even like save all my little like artwork or any projects that I did to like, okay, I'm gonna keep this as a memory, like so that when I'm a teacher, I will go back and I will
use this
and like I'm gonna, for my future students or whatever. Like I had that kind of foresight.
But is this something that inspired you to, teacher?
I think it was how I could impact someone.
Right.
I think that was a very intrinsic thing that I didn't realize existed. It was just legacy impact. Like I just wanted that.
Right.
And I wonder if then for the kids, right, their first visualization of someone who contributes to someone whose job is to do good all this is a teacher.
And yes. I had a great teacher, and I just felt like so. Like I find that when I have really inspiring teachers, I can do so much more.
And you know what you said was very interesting, to impact someone, right? And what you're doing right now, although not teaching, is impacting someone, right?
It's completely fulfilling. Like impacting people's lives and having them see their own worth is like next level.
What changed? What happened along the way?
Well, let me tell you. So in high school, from grade 10 to 12, so that's your last like 3 years of
So
high
she
school.
studied in Canada.
I studied in Canada my entire life.
Okay.
Do not tell me you have the horrible teacher.
No.
Okay.
I've had horrible teachers, but
it started well. Okay.
Yeah. But the thing is, so we have this program in the curriculum. It's called Career and Personal Planning, and so you talk about what your life is going to be like after high school and career and which direction you want to go to. So
all the things
sort of
that
like,
I hated. Yep.
So all the things that I loved.
Okay.
Right.
And so when I looked at it and they were like showing you all the different salaries, I was like, what? A teacher makes this? In Canada, teachers are like paid really poorly.
Actually,
that's why
around the world.
That's why there's a huge teachers union in Canada, right? And I remember my school going on strike many times. And I was like, no thanks. So then I totally stopped that.
Okay.
And I remember telling my dad I want to be a teacher, and he was just like, well, you can be a teacher of anything. So it doesn't have to be like you have to teach education.
Wise advice.
Yeah. So he was just like, we'll take anything. And then at that time I was working at the mall selling jeans. I had this product, someone that came and taught us more about product. And I was like, wow, she's amazing. And then like that inspired me to go do fashion, which is what I did.
Right.
Yeah, so I pursued a degree, a Bachelor of Design in Fashion Communication.
I thought that would have made you want to be a salesperson or business development.
Yeah. Well, it is it's sort of like the business of fashion. And then what I saw was that, after food, you need to clothe yourself. So that's why fashion is a huge business.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so that's how I did.
From teacher and then working in a mall and finding that thing, right?
Yeah.
Ihan Chan.
I've been thinking about it. I don't remember a moment, right?
Okay.
But the earliest memory of me having this profession in mind that I want to become was a doctor.
Oh, okay. Me too. Okay.
But I think it's just an Asian thing.
It's an Asian thing, and I remember, and I was just telling Sarah, I said, you know how many lives I saved by not being a doctor?
A doctor actually came into my mind, but only because my dad wanted me to be one. But it was
yeah, exactly. That was the question.
Yeah.
I have a theory about it. So for me, I believe that I'm in the success generation. So for me, I believe that a lot of the migrants to Malaysia, you went through 3 phases usually. The first phase is survival, right? It's the first generation to move here with $5, 10 ringgit in their pocket. The story is so
working at the docks.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the immigrant scarcity.
Yeah, so that's survival generation. Then the next generation, which is my dad's generation, all of them, they were I call them the stability generation.
Okay.
Because it was all about finding stability
Yes.
for the family.
Okay.
So there is like, what is 7 or 12 jobs that you can choose from? Is doctor, accountant, secretary, lawyer, whatever.
Yeah.
And so that was my dad's generation.
Right.
I think for the third generation, we are the first generation was so lucky to get told you can be whatever you want to be.
Okay.
So I think my dad at the time or my family still was stuck in that because the stable generation never happened.
Right.
Because no one entered. There was some family circumstances where my dad was the oldest, supposed to finish would have been the first in the entire family history to ever finish a degree. He had to ended up dropping out because of a family circumstance at the time, and so that generation of stability never happened.
Right.
So that's why I think it came to mind. But he did still do relatively okay, right?
Yeah.
We were poor the first beginning part of our life, but later he was okay. Like we were not like, you know.
So that has a driving school.
Exactly.
Yeah, that has a driving school. Yeah.
So I guess going through all that as well, you kind of start going like, okay, doctor is what was told, right? It's
Yes,
what the
it's popular.
socialization, part. So what is it really? And the part where you mentioned, when you go Form 5 or when you go foundation, they ask you to, you want all this festival, education fair where they sit down. I hated that part because I'm like, I can be an accountant because I'm good with maths. I can do math. I can be a doctor. I can save lives. I can contribute, bring back change. All that. I can be a scientist, create a vaccine. All these things. And I'm like, but how do you decide?
Right.
And why should I decide now? There's still another 60, 70, 80 years.
Okay, so what did you end up studying?
So I ended up, you know what? I love biology. I love learning about life and people and human, because it makes sense to me. Although having said that, my physics and chemistry are much better grade than my biology in SPM. But I still chose biology, so I went on that path of foundation in science, biology, or biological sciences, then eventually medical science.
So I presume in government school you go through like a science stream, so that's
yes.
So then so medical science degree. Then when I finished
in Australia, right?
Yep, in Australia. So then when I graduated, I was still kind of like, oh my god, you're gonna go into a lab and just sit in the lab for 8 hours observing a rat gut. That really was happened. My one of my professors were like, if you want to have a feel of what it feels like to work in the lab, feel free to come in my lab anytime you want. So I was like, okay. Waiting one day, he's like, okay, you can join that PhD student. So I was like, okay, just sit there. We're just observing. So any changes, I was like, oh
wow.
God. So this is what medical scientists do. Like,
that's right. Research.
So I was like, I can't do
goodness.
this. I'm just too crazy and too much energy. I'll probably start playing the guitar or something. So I did finish still, and I thought about going doctor and stuff. But then one of my lecturers said, why don't you help me in the lab on my teaching part, right? So then she told me she was doing a research that was quite interesting.
Okay.
She was doing a research where she did a survey and found out that most science professors actually are not interested to teach.
Okay.
They teach because they have to.
They like to do the research bit. They don't exactly like the teaching
so
bit.
I want to go dig deeper. So I was like, okay, we interview. We eventually found out, actually, you know what? University fails us in one thing, which is that a lot of those professors, because their number one passion is more on the research they do rather than the teaching part.
Right.
So what happened is that they teach students, the younger generations, a lot about a specific topic.
Okay.
So you're taught a lot about psychology, right? A lot about science, a lot about biology.
Yeah.
But you're never taught to be a psychologist.
Okay.
To be a scientist.
Okay.
To be an entrepreneur. To be a businessman, right? So it's all that soft skills, all these things that they start talking about now, is what's the problem. So I was doing that research, but more on the scientific side.
That's the gap that they are missing.
Exactly.
Right.
Because you then took a grad dip in education.
Right.
Now, okay. Which also then begs the question, right? So at the fashion communication and teach. Hey, then what happened? What happened to where you are now? I know we've got a bit of time here, but so because I've only known you as Magic. So what happened? I'll get to you later. I want to hear from Sarah first. What happened from studying that and then ending up here in Malaysia?
Oh my god.
Okay, we got time.
Story.
We have time.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's gonna be interesting. Yeah.
The plot twists.
Exactly.
So I was always into performance and all that kind of stuff. I had an agent when I was like about 10 years old. So I was doing that on the side. So I decided to pursue fashion, flew halfway across the country to Toronto, so on the East Coast. And then I was in Vancouver, so it was like, I don't know, 5-hour flight. So when I was there, I was just focused on my fashion degree, trying to get, my university was in the city, so I was trying to get involved with all this stuff. And then I met this photographer who was like, he was shooting me as a model kind of thing, but he also shared his studio with a talent agent in Toronto. And I didn't have any representation over there. And so the talent agent was like, listen, he's like, I keep getting all these briefs for Asian girls, like, and I would love to just submit you. If it works, it works.
Okay.
If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Okay.
So I'm sort of like a type A. So I tried, and because I'd gone to college a couple years before I decided to move for university, I actually had accumulated a lot of credit. So I would do like 13 courses in like 1 year. Like I was just like that. And then, because like you're a poor immigrant, right? Luckily, I mean, I was a PR there, so, we didn't have to pay a lot, but it's like, if you take 5 to 7 courses, it's still the same price.
Okay.
So I'm like, I'm gonna take 7 courses. So I'm gonna get a better deal.
Value for
value
money.
for money. Yeah.
Oh, I like that your Asian part still comes in when you're planning your topics and all that.
So out of 4 years, I tried to condense my degree to 2.5 years.
Okay.
So by the time I got to my last year, there's certain courses that are prerequisite that you can't skip, right? So I would just have, by my last year, I think I had like 1 course, and I had a lot of free time.
Right.
So when I got this agent, actually I started booking work. I was flying around Canada for this show. And so that sort of like took me like not out of fashion, but I was sort of at that crossroads. And then my friend's like, well, you can always do fashion anywhere. It's not like your information is gone, right? It's just a matter of trend, right? But it's not really about anything else that's lost.
Like a practice or something.
Correct, yeah. And we learned a lot of stuff like import, exporting, merchandising, purchasing, buying, all that kind of stuff. But then, I was at a crossroads. And so after university, I was like, I don't know what I should do. And my friend's like, well, why don't you just flesh out this like in front of the screen kind of thing and see what happens. And then so I flew back to Malaysia to like see what was out.
And what did your parents say when you say, I'm
I was like, stupid, why you go back?
So typical.
And then my mom was like, Ayya, why you want to do this? You said fashion, okay lah, fashion now you want, ayya. My mom was so upset, and then my dad was like, well, if you do your MBA, there's still a chance. Like my dad is such a, my dad has an MBA and a Master's of Econ from Stanford University. Wow. He is a very high level thinker. Yeah. And so even when he would come visit me, he's like, have you ever thought about an EMBA, Sarah? EMBA.
So you still got chance.
Like, he's still like hoping for it because I'm the only one that thinks like that.
Right.
Or that has that potential to, if I really wanted to.
Continue a master's.
Yeah, but I was just like.
It was like my hope and dreams.
Yeah, I know. But then, so when I decided to move back to Canada, I mean, it's a long story, but in 2011, about 10 years ago, I was like, okay, I think I'm going to focus more on film and television back in Canada, not so much in Malaysia. Wanted to like validate myself internationally, right? Like going back. Then I was like, maybe I might do an MBA. And then my girlfriend was like, you just want to do an MBA so you can say that you did an MBA. And I was like, that's true.
Yeah.
Like, you should not do an MBA if that's the case. Because it was going to cost like $100K. It was going to be quite expensive.
And you're not mentally prepared.
And I'm not mentally prepared. It was just kind of like, don't challenge me kind of thing. And I shouldn't jump on the chance because of a challenge, which is, horrible. So that's how I ended up here.
Right.
Then running my agency and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then moving from being passionate about, helping people, like sort of groom or help people with their career and their trajectory to then just helping women in general and now people.
Because you can relate to it as well because of what you went through.
Absolutely, yeah.
And of course, what you're doing right now, you're an entrepreneur, right? And so although you never got the MBA, right? This whole idea of being an entrepreneur, right? Or starting your own business. When did that come about? I say, okay, I want to, this is a business.
It was not initial, like I didn't see that for myself because I think for me, I've always been a talent, right?
So you're managed by someone.
Yeah. So you have a very freelancer mindset.
Right.
And until my business partner was like, I was in Malaysia and I was saying, listen, I need help with management because I feel like there's something lacking. And I've been managed by my agents in Hong Kong, Singapore, and Canada. And I could see a hybrid of how it could help if I found someone that could help me, I know I could grow, right?
Yeah.
I just need this kind of person.
Yeah.
So my business partner was like, you know what? Why don't we create it?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was like Peter Chin. So that was sort of like the opportunity that.
So accidental.
So, yeah. And he was just like, and please, if you want to buy a car, you need to get a. Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, okay.
So do you think without that business partner, it would happen?
I think it would have happened eventually.
Right.
But I think he was the impetus, and he kind of had more foresight because like Pete was like, at that time Pete was working for Media Prima, so he had a corporate mindset, although he also had like a separate business. And so he was explaining to me like, you know, if you're going to be freelancing your whole life, you're not going to be able to purchase a house or a car. You need to legitimize your income. You need to have collateral. You need to have all these kind of things. So that's sort of how he kind of, I was like, but it doesn't matter. And he was like, no, that's not how it works there. So I was like, oh, okay. Because I didn't realize, but I am actually a very creative person.
Yeah.
And so you don't think of these
Yes,
kind of
yes.
things. Like the structure is not
Yeah.
quite set because everything's so organic.
Yeah.
And so that was
So
a good support.
Thanks,
to,
Pete.
yeah, thanks, Pete.
Pete.
Thanks,
Right.
Pete. Thanks, Pete.
Okay. So yours is also very interesting, right? So after that education, grad diploma in education, what happened until I met you in Magic? What happened in between?
lot
A
happened.
lot. I
A
know.
lot.
A lot.
So I get involved in a lot of things and all this kind of stuff as well. And so then I finished degree, went to work with my lecturer, my former lecturer at the time, do research, and then I decided to move to Brisbane. I was in Adelaide at the time, so I moved to Brisbane to change of scene. And my lecturer recommended me to one of her friend in University of Queensland. That's where I did my grad dip.
Okay.
And continued working as well on education research, mostly on technology and digital technology and its influence on education and all that kind of stuff. So that was the boring part, right? But during that time when I moved there, I met this crazy woman. To be fair, you remind me a lot.
Okay, crazy.
Very high energy.
She had me at crazy. Okay, go on.
A bit crazy.
Okay.
Also dressing style as well. So the kind of dress, all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
Very similar. But the energy is what drew me.
Okay.
And then we just got along really well. She's local and all that. She's one of those who like, you want to do anything, do lah, you know? Why think so much about it, you know? And always think about the worst case scenario and then plan from there.
Right.
So it kind of like rubbed off on me a little bit. And one day he told me that, you know, I can't graduate. I was like, why? Because she's studying journalism.
Right.
And you must do a placement in a media company before you graduate, right? And at the time, a lot of media companies were closing. This was in the
early
2010s.
that time.
About
10 years ago.
Yeah.
So a lot of media were closing or scaling down. So they're not taking as many interns and work placement all this. So she couldn't get one because she was late. Because she also is one of those people who is like you, the creative one. You know, ask her to go think of ideas, write something, do this, all that. Okay, but then you ask her to organize her life. Her wardrobe, her room, all this kind of stuff. You know, she's home. So we worked a lot closely together. And so anyway, so she's like, what? I was like, the easiest way is to hack it lah. Start your own media agency company. Hire yourself as a workplace intern.
Oh my god, so smart.
And then you can graduate.
Create it yourself.
Right.
I was like, is there like a regulatory body of media, all this, right? She's like, not really. Like you have to apply license from government. But these days with all the magazines and the alternative
it was
media,
easy to get.
You don't need the license because you're not official newspaper. So it's different. It's now different categorization. This was at the time when government still don't know what to do, ma. So we eventually start one. She managed to graduate. It grew. For some reason and then someone bought it, a local company bought it.
So you were a partner with that? So you were...
So it was my first entrepreneurship exit. But it was very small, it was insane. But at the time I didn't understand all this, right? So I was just like, whatever exit
You're
is,
exiting.
what does it buy? Okay, but make some money. Go and travel a bit around Australia because at the time I just 4 or 5 years there. So I wanted to travel around, so I did that, and then went to Melbourne. Someone who runs a co-working space was like, hey, I'm struggling. So I met him a while ago because we did a co-working space that didn't work out also in Brisbane. So then he's like, since you're doing nothing now, why don't you help me out? So I was like, okay. So I started as a consultant to him for 1 day a week, and then 3 months. Then we managed to restructure. 6 months later, he managed to at least have a clear business plan, clear picture. So I was very happy. He's like, why don't you join me lah? Right? And I was like, let's see how lah. I'll join you for 6 months. So I joined you for 6 months, but within that, he decided to expand because we did well. We managed to break even, before that he was losing 10,000 every month going to
Okay.
the bank. He got frustrated, hence the father asked him to get a consultant. That's where I came in.
Right.
So later, so then we managed to grow from one small little space in Melbourne, grew into 2-story of a building.
Wow.
So,
Went to
okay.
Brisbane.
So
I went to-
enterprising.
So you didn't
Sydney,
know
Melbourne, and
you
then
didn't know
Brisbane.
you had that
Yeah.
thing in you.
That quality.
Well, I kind of knew because when I was primary 4,
Ah.
when
What
I was
happened
primary
primary 4?
I was still
Did you
going
have
through
your
a
first
poverty
business?
space.
Right.
Yes, I did. It's called a dinosaur company.
Yeah. It's okay. I had one in grade 3 as well.
Because I had the stamp and it's a dinosaur.
Oh my god.
So my dad earns 500 ringgit per month. We were quite poor, all this, right? And so my mom would always go to the, what do you call it? Pasar borong. Like
Okay,
the
warehouse.
warehouse shop.
Right,
you know,
wholesaler.
Wholesale
Yeah.
to
Right.
get the cheapest stationeries.
Yeah.
So then at the time I was like, okay, I'll buy, but I'm got a whole box of erasers, so I'll bring 2 or 3. Like see, I stole it. Then went to school, and then people need it because we were at the time very famous for playing the eraser game. So people would need to buy. So I was like, okay, 30 cents. It was like 10 cents maybe.
Okay.
And then eventually I sold enough to buy my own box because my mum one is communist style, got ratio and
Oh, okay, okay.
so at least so she found out I stole already, but at least I pay her a bit of money. So I went to buy more. Eventually, I was hiring 2 people to help me.
Oh my
I
God!
sold all
Oh.
types of stationeries. I ever sold ladybugs. So behind my house, there's a small
You
little
sold
bush.
ladybugs.
Yep. And then I was so
Wow.
smart. I sold ladybugs without the food. So if you want the leaf, that's extra cost.
I sold friendship bracelets when I was in grade 3. I would actually make friendship
Right,
bracelets.
yeah.
I had a
It was
catalog.
very
It
famous.
was called
like, yeah.
Sunrise bracelets, and I used to use that for my lunch money. Like if I wanted to
Yeah.
buy chips or whatever,
Oh,
like
I was
would sell.
earning
Yeah,
so much though. I was earning like 30, 40, sometimes 50 ringgit a
that's
day.
great.
Remember, my pocket money at the time was 50 cents a day.
Okay.
Wow, look
So
at
I
you.
initially didn't tell my mom, but eventually she found out because I was carrying. Well, in the afternoon I'll go. Usually I'm playing my friends on the because my house. I
Wasn't
live in
drugs,
my
it's just
parents'
erasers.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
okay.
No,
He's a stockist.
Yeah. Oh, I had so much stuff. I even sold paper, so colored paper that I cut into squares. I'll teach you how to make paper cranes.
But you have to buy.
But you have to buy
oh
my
my
paper.
god!
So if you buy my paper, it's free lesson. So I learned from friends and I teach people. And then I sold strips to make stars. And I sell the jar. I told them, you know what? If you have a crush, the easiest way to tell them is you fold a whole jar of stars.
The girl
He
will
created like a supply.
So
and
like,
Wow,
do it.
wow, you created demand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you started that, so it was
You're
during
so
that
funny.
period that the co-working space thingy, and you from there was it straight to Malaysia or
No,
was it
so
still
then
still?
it brought me to UK.
Ah,
So during that time, a lot happened. I was invited to be on the board of a bank in Australia.
wow.
So to be fair, it's a good and bad thing in hindsight now. I think that for young people, for me, like at the time, came from a poor family, very quickly put into the system,
Yeah.
right.
exposed
Right.
to so much and all this kind of stuff. I ended up becoming so, what's the word? I couldn't stop, at the time.
Okay.
Right? So I was doing a lot of all this stuff and eventually I got
Burn out.
tired, burned out. I feel like also I never had a youth.
Okay,
Uh,
okay.
Right. Because
Right.
you're always hustling. You're always
Yeah.
trying to find.
Yeah, and during my youth, at 16 years old, my best friend passed away. That
Right.
was my aha moment, changed my life.
Wow.
I went into this whole, I'm gonna write my eulogy instead of my CV thing.
Okay.
Right, that kind of principle of life, right?
Right.
So that's also how I then went on to kind of live life where I never really had a direction, but I just sort of have a inkling of what I'm interested in, what I'm good at,
Okay.
what I want to.
Wow, you are
Okay.
like the epitome of
Explore.
flow.
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
you're the epitome
The
of
funny
flow.
thing is, I met Mihai as well because I was the chairman of the World
Flow.
Happiness
Oh,
Forum.
wow.
So he wrote the book Flow.
Yeah,
right?
Mihail, and I
So
don't want to
he
bother
was one of our
pronouncing his last name.
speakers. so I asked him, he said, it's Mihai. So his
Wow.
name is Mihai Mihai.
Wow.
I
Mihai.
cannot really pronounce it.
Okay, so then I guess the question is like, do you think?
Then UK
Uh-huh.
for a firm, a design firm that ended up investing in a few companies. So I
Right.
helped them manage their portfolio,
Right.
turned over a few companies, started another few more, and then I got a phone call from
Magic.
Magic.
someone who was consulting to Magic.
Right.
Yeah. So then the phone call, so there was an agency called Magic. Can I say it? Like,
Yeah.
so I was going like, who would name an agency like Magic?
Censor.
Beep. Sorry,
But
just
then
cut out.
so-
Welcome back.
Okay.
They were telling me all these things
Right,
about
right.
it. You know, Barack Obama was coming to launch.
Oh, yeah.
So I looked into it, all this. I was like, I still don't really know what it does. So took a few months before I finally. I think it was only. So they started calling me in May. I only said yes in. So this was when they just launched.
Right.
Then I only said yes in October. Then they said you must come back ASAP.
Right.
Because I didn't ask, can I start in January? They said no. So we are nego to.
So what was
1st of
your role in
December.
Magic?
I was looking after the social entrepreneurship.
Oh, right.
That's where. So I'm very proud. Like, he's a Sarakian. The first time I met him, he was like, oh, Sarakian. I don't know.
Hey, that was not the story, okay? The first time I met her at the event, I don't know who she is.
Right.
So this is the context.
And I don't know
who she is,
Yeah.
right? And she probably just read my bio
Yeah.
in
yeah.
booklet. This is in
DG. It was a DG.
Okay. DG's
Event, yeah.
event with the big hole. So I was one of the panelists. She turned up, Kaki lang! I was like, wait, hold on a second.
I just like, Sarakian, I'm just very proud.
I didn't know she was Sarakian either. Then I was like, is it a Malay word like Kaki lang? Or like what word? What language? So that's how we met the first time. It wasn't as calm as you put it.
Okay, I didn't want to reveal that. Okay, now what you guys are doing right now, right? And we talk about the calling or the flow, right? And you know, I guess even is there a difference, right? In what you're doing right now? Was it heeding to a call, or you just going with the flow? It's a tough one, and I just want to hear your perspective of that.
Well, I'm a very practical person. To me, it's more practicality comes first than a calling or flow or whatever. But I do, to a certain extent, believe that we should always be open to a certain extent of opportunities ahead, and also be observant and be mindful and you know, all that kind of stuff of the changes around us, and be able to also react to it.
You wouldn't be a full-time scuba diving instructor.
I don't think so. I tried. I don't think so.
Okay.
I did 1 month, 1.5 months. Like, it was too much. But I did have a conversation with a friend recently who said that, you know what, he started into improv recently and realized that, you know what, moving forward in life, improv is going to be much more important in life.
Oh, what is this?
Yeah.
What's improv?
Improv is just like improvisational.
Okay, yeah.
Like acting kind of thing. So you
To
just
your
go
life.
with whatever happens, and the whole basis of improv is yes and.
Yes.
Yes and.
Yes.
Okay, yes
it's
and.
the principle of yes and.
It's
So
role playing.
It's role playing. So whatever, you know. If I say he's like this, he's like, yes, not only am I this, I'm also this. And then he adds value
Hey, would
to
you like
your...
to go for dinner?
Yeah, yes. And I would also like to go for a drink.
Right.
Hey, would you like to go for a drink?
Can.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what?
And what else? Yeah.
So it's a way of like getting you to
improv.
become more
Principles of improv is amazing.
and all this. So in the future, when jobs are like weirdly combined, right?
Yeah.
These days, you know, big data in agriculture,
Right.
This combination of different industry, all this, you need to always improvise. You have to always evolve, and life is really an improvisation.
So gone are the days when you graduate, you go and work for this company, this good MNC and everything.
It doesn't have to. I feel like it doesn't need to be so rigid. It doesn't have to be all encompassing. It doesn't have to only stay the same. Like you really move with the times, and I think basically listening to your story and then mine, it's like. Would I have ever expected me being in Malaysia running retreats for women?
Right.
After studying fashion in Toronto? No, I would have never imagined that. But when I look at the pattern or like the path that I've taken, it makes sense. It's just organic.
Yes.
It was just like, there was MCO. Okay, I can't do events in person, so I'm doing online. Oh, now this has opened me up to like more an international audience. So I've gotten more people. So, okay, great. But now we can do in-person events again. I can do this. Oh, companies have started sending their employees to my events. So now I can open it up to more corporate stuff. Like,
you're just reacting to opportunities.
Absolutely, yeah.
Changes.
So it's yes-anding. I like
Yes,
that.
and
I like that. Yes,
and you realize your whole life, when you go order coffee in the morning, that's an improv.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? Because the person is asking you something, a question that you haven't thought about, you have to immediately respond as well. So how you respond is an improv itself as well. It's just whether it's a negative improv or positive improv. That's
So when you
okay.
so I did Second City, and it's all improv. So when you're watching SNL, things like that, right? So there's different levels and different stages of it. But basically, when you come to a scene, you can't ignore the person. It's like, oh, Frida, you're like 12 months pregnant, whatever.
Okay,
that means,
okay.
Right? And if you're just like, if you're like, no, I'm not, then the scene's done. We can't move. Right?
Okay.
So you have to acknowledge, you're like, yes, 9 months in the bun, but another 3 months under my dress. You know, like, so you continue the flow of whatever is going to happen, and you have to acknowledge everything that comes. So you have to be reactive to what your scene partner or what the scene is saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, you guys need questions. Okay.
It's an acting term, but actually I do love the idea of it because it really is being more responsive to your environment.
See, because I had a question, right? How do you recognize your calling, and if that is the case, the calling, right? And then it's like, and is what you're doing now your final destination? And obviously not, right? Because you're talking about the flow and everything, right? But we also talk about the vision, right? With whatever is happening right now, do you still then set a vision and a dream?
Good question.
I set goals.
Okay, you set goals.
I set goals, but I may not get there.
Right.
And you're okay with that because it's going to take you to a place that you didn't even realize you were going to get there.
Okay.
You get
For
what
me,
I mean?
I agree to the second half. So I set vision. But I'm also okay that I may not get there. Because along the way, again, I'm someone who improvise all the way, right?
Right.
So along the way, I may see other things that
Okay, so what's your vision?
My vision? Difficult. So there's different types of vision for the company, for whatever. But I think for me personally, I do want to maintain this. I've done so many things in life. I've from board directors, even down up to you've heard of Movember Foundation?
Right.
I'm in Toronto a few times
for sure. We're huge.
So I'm on board of Movember as well before. I've been on these huge MNCs or NGOs. I've met crazy people from Dalai Lama to I had a phone call with Richard Branson who called me, and so all these random things. And I think at this point,
who?
So I think at this point in life, I know what I want is that I want to be able to have a certain degree of discretion.
Okay.
To have a certain degree of privacy of my own.
Right.
A certain level of flexibility as well in life. Where if I wake up today feeling like I need a mental health day, take a mental health day.
Right. So you said that you start impacting lives, right? And then I was just a Facebook memory, something that I snapshot from a book, and he says, what if a billionaire was defined as I have impacted 1 billion lives? If the word billionaire is not quantified by money, but thereby impacted 1 billion lives. And then that sort of sets your possibilities to many ways you can impact 1 billion lives, right? I was like, oh wow, okay. Then it's and the money will come along the way.
But the screw up thing is the system. Right. The people at the front line, the one who's working with the people, the disadvantaged, and the one who needs the help most, right? The one at the front line versus the CEO corporates who funds all these activities, this. The difference is too large, right? Because on one hand, we can argue that the front lines are the most important. The ones who help the homeless, the one who help the refugees, the one who help the disadvantaged and marginalized, right? They're the most important, but the front line are the least paid.
Right.
The social workers, all these guys, right? They're all the least. Whereas the at the other end, the one who probably caused a lot of the environmental damage and the inequality, financial, the economic inequality, all this kind of stuff, sits at a very comfortable decision and continues to control the funds of this frontline.
AOC was saying, she was like, you don't just make like $1 million, you take $1 million. Like if it's not coming from, it's coming from someone.
Right.
So where is that money coming from, right? So it was just a fascinating way to think, like, when these big companies or big billionaires or whatever, it's like, they rake in so much money, but where is it coming from? It's coming from someone not getting that money.
And for me, that's why social entrepreneurship as well. Because at least it's a more equitable channel. And the other thing for me is, I'm glad Malaysia has a very strong spirit of to get kemakmuran, kesaksamaan, all that togetherness together, the gotong royong, the JKKK and the neighborhood watch, all this we have
a sense of community.
A sense of community.
Communities within our system to a certain extent. So we're better than a lot of other places. Like.
Okay. Okay. No, so I was just saying that I've been reading books by this guy called Jenn, and he called, it's the book called Out of Work, and he talks about the portfolio life.
Yeah.
Which I guess we all have a portfolio life. Like, I mean, I do radio, I write books, I do different things. So we all have that, right? Do what I guess is important when people say it's too late. Have you had people, I'm already on this path, I can't seem to change the name. You've done 75 retreats, you gotta answer for that. But I mean, have you had people who said, it's too late?
It's too late.
Yeah.
It's never too late. Yeah, I honestly think it's never too late. You have an awakening when you have an awakening, and even if you think it's too late, it's never too late. It's never too
That's
late.
The beauty of life.
Yeah.
Right.
For me, I have come across situations like this where I and for me, I find it difficult to advise them because ultimately we don't know their life circumstances, we don't know their commitments, their backgrounds, and all the various other battles that they're battling, right, personally. So often when people ask me those questions like, oh, do you think I should quit? Do you think I should finish my degree? Do you think I should go quit my job? I find it difficult to answer for you, right? Because I understand you. But I have met people who are they are in their late 40s, right? They are only about 10 years away from
the retirement
from public service.
Right.
So I'm gonna get my lifetime retirement if I finish in this 10 years. Should I quit now and start my chase my entrepreneurial dream that I have, and suppressed? Because remember, a lot of these guys who join government servants, they join because of family pressure.
Yes.
Stability.
There is a part of the family of Malaysia where families still see public service as the
stable what?
So they see it as the dream of their children, their grandchildren, whatever. So it's difficult for them, right? There are others who started a business with their wife, their partner, whatever, and at some point they felt like, their vision has split, so one person has to tolerate, and that's when you're like, should I quit now? Should I, do something?
Okay.
And that's difficult. There are situations that way. Is it too late? I cannot answer for you, but having said that though, personally for me, I do believe that, like you mentioned, there's always a second
So,
chance.
both of you are youngins next to me, right? So, final question.
I feel like he's the young one.
He looks younger than he just looks like a 16-year-old all the time. Oh my God. But I guess if that's people at this point where they're thinking of trajectory and whatever, the fork in the the road, whatever. But if you were to talk to someone who's right now, who's 16 or 17 years old or whatever, right? What then? And because to me, you guys have lived such rich lives, right? To do what you've done, leaving countries, leaving the comforts, obviously your parents moved over thinking it's a bit, why come back, right? Stupid. So what would you tell someone right now who's on the cusp of deciding what they want to do, right? Or parents now listening in what they should tell their children? What would you say? Who wants to go first? Okay. Wow. Uncle Ihan Koko.
Just asking the right questions.
Ihan Koko.
Ihan Koko, answer.
Your son
okay.
Right? So this is like my advice to you.
Okay, Ihan Koko, what to do?
So I think for me it's difficult to think about what I would advise the young ones, the 16, 17, because I don't know. I realized recently,
you have no idea what
consulting to a company where a lot of the people who work, half of the people who work there are the Gen Zs.
Right.
I was like, wow, Gen Z is new. I was away for only 3 years,
Right.
And Gen Z is new. So I find it difficult. I don't understand them enough to give advice to them, right? But for the parents, I would say that I think don't limit your children too much at this age where they are exploring.
Right.
Allow them to explore, allow them to fall in love, allow them to hang out and break down things, allow them to experiment and all this kind of stuff. And be as supportive as you can be. You can play the role of a coach, a facilitator. If they procrastinate too much, kick their ass a bit. If they, is going down the wrong path, pull them back a bit. But ultimately allow them to explore what they're interested in. Or put a little bit of fire in their belly and stuff.
Okay.
Like that. Because at the end of the day, I think that the kind of advice people should listen to have been given all around online and all that. But ultimately, I think what really matters is still the practice itself. And I don't see enough parents I understand they are nervous. It's already you 17 already. You still haven't decided.
Okay, I'll tell you what I tell my son.
But understand that is why 17 is a perfect age to explore because there's no commitment.
Yes.
You're trying to understand who am I as an adult.
Right.
This is the first time that they are crafting their own identity. Because previously as a high school student, your identity is crafted by your school, by your family, by your parents. Everything is decided for you. Right? You're over 18 now. It's the first time you're crafting your own identity. Allow them.
Okay. Sarah Cheche.
Such a hard follow-up.
Sarah Cheche.
Sarah Cheche is going to have the very female approach.
Okay.
Just really connect to who you are. No, but really, I think exactly what he said is like you're expected to know your direction in life. I mean, when I was 17, and obviously I did my CAP stuff, I thought I was going to be a psychiatrist. Like I loved helping people, like all that kind of stuff. So I did all my sciences. I knew, in Canada, you can't do a medical degree until you've done your undergrad.
Right.
So you don't just go into medicine. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do 4 years of sciences. I'm going to apply to this university. Who the F would know that like I'm out here doing fashion on TV? Like completely opposite, right? And so it's okay to want to do that, but if it doesn't work for you, it's also okay. And I think parents so much, because you put your own, you project on your kids what you didn't get, and so you're no better than your parents that did that to you, right? And so I think when you're able to sort of allow your child to be whole and allow your child to be who they are and to explore. If you want to be a YouTuber, you can be a YouTuber and make a crap ton of money. You want to be an e-gamer, they make a lot of money. So you got to really ask yourself, what is the most important aspect of your child? Because people are like, oh, I don't want them to fail. They should get a backup degree, all this kind of stuff. And I said, but you've just, like I know so many singers that all have like law degrees. Half our Miss Malaysias all have law degrees, and it's just clearly because their parents didn't want them to earn money based on their looks, right? And so they you've got a chip on your shoulder. I need to be smart. I have a law degree.
Right.
But for me, I'm like, I have a fashion degree because I love fashion and I loved it from the beginning, and like no one was gonna stop me.
Right.
But I remember, we had a conversation earlier. Has anything you learned helped you? I'm like, absolutely. Right. Like I build my own websites. I do all this stuff. Like I do
my website.
All the design stuff. Like I'm super hands-on. I code all this kind of stuff. And it's because I was led by my own interest and passion. Yes. And because I'm so rebellious against my parents, to no fault of their own, I just do things I want to do. Right. So you can't tell me, oh, you have to do a medical degree. Well, I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to waste 50 grand or 100 grand or whatever it is. I'm going to do what I want to do. And it's going to take me somewhere. And then it's going to lead me into another passion.
Right. Okay.
So I would say as a 17-year-old, like really connect to what you love. Like what are you scrolling on the internet? Like what are you black hole browsing? Right. Is it engineering stuff? Is it Bitcoin? Is it cryptocurrency? Is it this? Like you are very clear about what you like. Because if you told me to read like 20 parenting articles, I'll be like, I don't know, it's not really my thing. But if you're asking me to read all about these healing modalities, I'm like, yes, sign me up, right? This is the place that I'm at right now. And you're just armed with information, but the assistance is the passion that drives it.
Right. So a conversation with a son who doesn't know what he wants to do, and I just told him, say, just do something that you have a natural interest. I don't know what he's browsing. I think it's just nonsense, right? So I said, just do whatever you're most naturally talented at. Just do that, and even after you graduate, you don't necessarily have to do what you've studied, right? But it teaches you some discipline. Everything in life requires hard work. It requires commitment, right? It requires all these things. But the world is your oyster.
I still believe, because I saw an Elon Musk thing. He's like, no one needs to go to university. I really think everyone needs to go to university.
Yeah, me too.
It doesn't matter what you take, but I think you need to have that experience of the analytical skills and to get that kind of feedback and engagement. That network.
Building and networking in teams.
So I was going to put a disclaimer that I think what we meant by is that the traditional physical university we're talking about.
Right,
because these days there's all these open universities. And that is where the social...
You still learn collaboration skills.
As much. I think the one part as well is that we have to be fair as well that at 17, 18, I'm a big advocate of it's okay to take a gap year if you need to.
Right.
You know, if it's okay
Right.
to take 1 year to just chill out. You know,
Right.
we got to explore and do. That's not serious lah. You know, do things that you love or like things that makes you happy. Travel, backpack. You know, all this actually you learn things along the way.
I completely agree.
Okay.
Because I was someone that was like, no, I need to finish university by
Yeah.
21. Like, you know, or like by 20, like I was just trying to push. And my little brother that was like, well, if you're gonna graduate, you're gonna graduate anyway. You know? Like it's like not like a big deal, right? But it was just in my head. I was like, no, I need to run the rat race and I need to be ahead in life. So I need to be before everyone else.
Yeah.
And it turned out I was gonna be behind everyone else anyway, so it didn't even make a difference. You know?
Okay.
So parents I find that like a lot of the children's stuff ends up being triggered because the parents are triggered by like, hey, your daughter go here, like, you know, and then they feel like, and then they push, right?
Okay.
So it's like, I find that that's kind of what happens. And then, so as a child, you don't even understand like what's going on, like why suddenly like they're on you. But when, as an adult now looking back, I could see all these things that made my parents feel like, you know,
Right.
well, my son is not doing this or my daughter's doing this.
No,
And
they
so-
left the country for a
Yeah.
better life
Yeah.
elsewhere, right? Then
You go do fashion
and then come and then go back.
and they come back. Oh yeah, why?
You know, I you know, but it's just been great, guys. So we could go on and on and on, right? And you know, and to me, I think what we learn here is right, two successful exhibits, right? Of that journey.
I know about the successful.
Successful exhibits because I think you are fulfilled, and you are, you know, and that's more important to me. If my child is fulfilled and independent, you know, it doesn't matter what you do, right? So, and you know, just things to think about is you're raising your kids and all that, and you know, so when I grow up, and I said like it's so far from what I wanted to do, right? So again, Sarah, Ihon, thank you so much. All right,
No problem.
My next topic will be about what self-reflection taught us. I should get you back again. Right? I have two guests joining me. I won't tell you who they are, so you're gonna find out in 2 weeks' time. But next week, however, I'll be officially launching my book, Lies the Stage, in line with World Book Day. It'll be on Saturday, April 24th. So follow me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn for details to register. It's the Frida Liu. She taught me that.
That's right.
Thanks for joining us. And have a wonderful weekend. You've been watching Lies the Stage with me, Frida Liu, on Jenn TV. So have a great weekend. Bye.